I said, ain't shit poppin' if you ain't on the prime. Let them know I get the fire, cause I be styling on the top. Styling, 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 styling. You hear that bass knocking my ride. Tryna parlay when I'm wildin' out. Styling, 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 styling. Many niggas know I'm good in the streets. These niggas know what I'm talking about. Styling, 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 styling.
Yo, dude, welcome back to another episode of the Stylin Show.
We back, baby.
We back, baby. This is my guy, Wayne. I'm here with my crew. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, this is Joe, or people Ndure.
What up, y'all? It's Seoul down here in Indy.
And we're here to talk about some crazy stuff, man. Oh, but first, hold on. While it's on my mind, shout out to who you say, Crisis?
The Crisis, yes.
The Crisis? You put us on to this dude.
Yes, sir. Because
I'm in love with this.
because of that song. It's The Crisis. We found it on YouTube. My guy is a heater MC, and he made that song Stylin' Out. And then I remixed.
Dude, that's our crew, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That's our crew. That's that shit, you know? And
Never heard anyone
we
else
just
say
kind
that.
of mixed it, put a house beat behind it, because that's what our DJs do too. We that house squad too. So shout out to the Crisis for the track,
Bro.
we appreciate it, bro.
If anyone knows this guy, if there's anyone out there that connect us to this dude, yo, bro, like, we're a dope ass crew. I would love to meet you. Yo, raw, dude. I'm digging it. I'm digging
Come
it.
on.
Thank you. So, okay. Anyways, we're here today. We all want to kind of talk about a topic that's been going on. I think it's big worldwide, but right now in Chicago, especially in the Midwest, it's a huge topic, and it is the resurgence of B girls and the lack thereof of B girl participation. And just kind of dissecting, we can't really say for sure why there's such a huge lack of participation, but what we can do is self reflect and see if we can learn about anything that we can do to create a present time where it's fun, accessible, engaging, safe, like encouraging for everyone to get involved with breaking, and especially newbie girls. And I would say that with all the elements too. Like, like it's been hard to have genuine participation with women in hip hop. At the same time, it's not, because there's so many that fucking kill it. But, majority don't always get the flowers that they deserve, and maybe that's a big reason why. I don't know. Let's just dive into it. Um, that's my big question: is what do you guys think is really contributing to the lack of participation, and what can we do as men to create a space to where this is thriving with the culture?
That's a very hard question, and I think there's many layers to it. And it's not
Answer it right now.
there's not gonna be like a single perfect answer that address everything, right? I think there's multiple layers, but from what I see, even in the city as big as Chicago, we're like the third largest city in the United States, right? But even then, even at practices I've been to, I think there's maybe four B girls.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe only one that regularly goes to public practices. And that's
So what are we doing wrong? That's our fault, right? Like, we're
Well,
part of the scene every day.
right.
What are we doing or not doing?
So based on my limited interaction with the said B girls, and the B girls I interacted with, they are fairly new, and they're still on their journey to learn a few things. Right, they have their own. They're in the learning phase, basically. It to me, my first immediate answer would be that they might be intimidated, and that can be by many things, either by the person who is doing things I practice, or just by the sheer difficulty of the things that she witnesses happening physically, like a move or something that might be too difficult. She never can envision herself doing that particular move because she thinks it's so physically like out of her reach. I think these two are probably the number one reason on top of my head that can be it. But obviously, there's always, the factor that sometimes when the B girl shows I practice, they get a lot of unwanted attention.
Mm.
And this happens outside of breaking too. Like you just in general, I feel like girls always became victims of unwanted attention,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just based on my limited observation. But I don't know what you guys have observing in your practices and spots.
Okay.
I'm interested in what you think, so because you run a school with so many students and you have so many dope, successful young girl students.
Okay. So I got a lot to say. So strap in. Okay, so strap in here. Please.
That's all right.
All right, so yeah, first off, all right. So by self-reflect, you mean by speculate a little bit here, based on some numbers of why B girls are not showing up to practice and why they don't exist in the Midwest scene here. Okay. If you mean speculate, let's dive into it for sure. Okay, so I really think, all right, I see it at different levels. I see it at different ages, right? That's number one. So as a teacher, I deal with, I have a lot of students. All right, I have over 50 students. Let's say I have over 50 students that I'll break. And with that being said, about 5% of them are B girls. Their ages range from 5 to 14, mainly, I would say. You got a few outliers that are a little older, but the majority of them are somewhere in that range. So one of the first things that I notice is why do I have so many B-boys? Why do I have so little B girls? First off, at a young age, girls are not necessarily, when they dance, they kind of see certain dance moves, certain dances that are already done by many different women in cartoons, music videos, songs, whatever. So it's kind of already being like, the impression is already kind of there of ways that girls should dance. Not necessarily look like the way that a boy dances, right? You don't really see boys dancing in those videos or like in those cartoons even, unless it's like some, like they're doing like some hip hop shit, or some like or they're breaking, but very rarely do you see a B girl on a cartoon doing headspins, right? Or
Right.
along those lines. So at a very young age, it's kind of already, everything like in the media and out there is already kind of dividing what's happening, a way a girl should dance versus a way a boy should dance, right? So by the time that they're like in a younger age of 6, 7, 8, and the time that they want to take class, first off, kids classes at a young age, let's say you're starting at 3, they're pretty a little bit more even between boys and girls. But then you get like 4 or 5, the options for boys are way less, right? Join a ballet, a tap, a jazz, or like one of those like contemporary classes or something at most studios, and most of those classes are filled with other girls, right? So most of those boys don't want to attend those classes. Most of those girls want to attend those classes because they see other girls in the studio that are like that. So again, they're kind of already being led into a way that a girl should should dance, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily, and like a boy, they kind of go and they do all these other things. They
Mhm.
fall out of dance at that time. So
Sports, you
they
Yeah.
know,
sports and
track and field.
all
Yep.
these other things, whatever.
Yep.
But even at that young age, the boys that I see that like to dance like that, what is their interpretation of dancing? They're on the ground, they are upside down, they are doing all of these things that are like more boyish, maybe
Mhm.
Yeah.
at a young age, versus what a girl is kind of already taught to do as a dance is not that. Right.
Mhm.
So at a very young age, I'm already seeing a difference of why, right?
Mhm.
And then it does kind of get discontinue as you get older. Most girls enter when they want to dance, they enter a ballet studio or a studio that offers ballet, contemporary jazz, all these other dance styles, all these modern dance styles, and maybe they offer a hip hop class, right? And even when they do offer a hip hop class, it's not like legit hip hop. It's hip hop choreography
Yeah.
mixed with jazz and fusion, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's
Mhm.
that style of dance. And so all of that to say, by the time a girl enters break at maybe like the age of 16, 17 to 20, when they kind of can decide what style of dance that they want to do for themselves, they already have to fight some natures, I think, of like what they're being told of against of how they're being taught to dance, right?
Mhm.
And so by the time you get there, by the time you are a B girl that enters the scene, there are so few other girls that have followed it and continued it that far to make it to that point, you know, that it's just a male dominated dance at that age, right?
Mhm.
And so that's got to be tough. I can't, like, I don't know what that's like, you know. I don't know how the type of emotion they probably go through, but they probably already have an understanding of what it's going to look like when they go there. They probably have an understanding of the fact that there are going to be a lot of b-boys there, there are going to be a lot of men there, right? And so I think what we need to do is when we have these B girls and women enter that are space that are of age or that are of that age and that are closer to our age, like adults, and we're not in like a studio teacher and a student setting, and we're like talking about sessions and we're talking about open practices and stuff like that. I feel like first off, this goes for all dancers. I feel like you need to let the teachers teach, and you don't need to overstep your boundaries when it comes to that, right?
Mhm.
Any b boys that will want to step
That's
right
huge.
with just because they're a b girl and they're just gonna want to stay in the game, like this
Yeah.
ego thing, you know, this
Yeah.
thing of like, oh, a girl is in our vicinity, and you know, all men all of a sudden just can feel it, and the tension rises a little bit. It's gonna be the first one who's gonna be over there to teach her a six step. You know,
Right.
and like, dude, that shit is terrible. That
It
shit is
is.
terrible.
Oh my God, it's so
That
heavy.
like that.
Oh my God.
Like, you know, we need to know our roles, b boys and b girls. If you're not a teacher, don't go over there and try to start teaching. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things we can do to help create a safe environment in these open sessions and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, like you just need to we need to be able to treat all people as people. You know, like
Right.
it's not separate. That person that just walked in is still somebody that wants to learn how to break. So we need to teach them how to break. We don't need to handicap anything because we think that they're a woman, and
Mhm.
we think for whatever reason that they can't physically do the same thing that we can. That's bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can do everything that we can, like hands down. But it's just going to take the amount of time and patience. The reason that we don't recognize it that quickly is because we haven't seen it done. That's all. And why is that? Because we don't have that many B girls in the scene yet. The B girl scene at this level of is still so young,
Yeah.
right? So young. So we don't have the numbers yet to have it seen for us to recognize it as it's like a daily thing. But dude, B girls can do every single thing that a B boy can. Like
Oh,
hand,
100%.
you know what I'm saying?
100%.
We need to
Okay,
eliminate that thought.
bro, okay, so you just dropped hella knowledge right now. You dropped hella points right now.
Bro, I
I
said
got
in. I'm like
I
that.
got some questions. I got some
Go
questions.
for it. Yes, let's
I
go.
got some questions. Okay. I really like the point you made about how it's a psychological thing from childhood. How boys should dance, should move, how girls should dance, should move, and how those options become tailored and, simultaneously like segregated as they get older. Um, and I think that definitely has something to do with it, for sure, right? But then I start to think about how there's so many, whether it's around the world or in your local scene or whatever, there's so many dope B girls, young of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
Every instructor probably has one in their class that are thinking about, two or three in their class that are thinking about, like, yo, this girl's gonna be raw, like, for sure. Now, these girls operate in a male dominated activity, in a male dominated space, and they have the motivation, the determination, and the access to continue practicing. And whether they're the only one or not, there's a lot of them that come up and they're fucking sick, right? They're sick. So, what are the key elements necessary for a young B girl or a woman who's breaking to come up in a male dominated sport, in a male dominated space, the same way a lot of them are? Is it they need to grow up with people who break? So even like as a kid, I grew up with my cousins and my nephews and my uncle break. So even though I was a girl, I still did it and I felt like the family. So I didn't care that I was the only girl, whatever. Or do they need to be a tomboy? Or is there a way to get over it? Or like, is it something men we should be doing more of in addition to like what you suggested? Like, how do we encourage that growth?
So, Papang, did you have an idea?
Well, I'm just thinking how, right? Because to me, I mean, as on our breaking journey, I'm sure all of us had hit at one point, hit it like the low point of like, man, should I like continue this? And like, or
Yeah,
at one point you have a burnout
many
phase where
times.
you're like, man, I don't know if it is like a good time investment because not having as much fun, or you just feel like you hit a wall, you're not progressing. I was just trying to draw from those memories to see how I truck through those and see if any of those instances can serve as a, a learning point or a lesson for them to to like find their own motivation to keep going. And I feel like to me, whenever I hit those points, resort back to what is the most fun for me about breaking. In this case, would be to create concepts that's unique to me. And I remember vividly, like when I hit those points, I will have literally like weeks of not drilling moves, and it's literally like back to back practice, just me sitting in the corner, just like playing around with my body parts and figure out how to make new shapes, how to flow into new things. So for oh, language,
No, 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 not language. That's
but
hilarious.
putting that aside, I feel like if those girls can identify what is the most fun for them and use that as an anchor point to, find motivation to keep going to practice, then eventually they will find their way out and keep
Hmm.
themselves motivated. Because at the end of the day, like we all have only 24 hours a day, right? And you're spending willingly those time and dedicate certain hours a day to practice. And if that's the case, it has to have a certain level of payout. And what that payout is obviously varies from person to person. For me, is to have fun. And I imagine, if they are having fun practicing, then they will keep coming back and keep going.
Hmm.
Whereas opposed to if they are only feeling pressure or the negative pressure that comes with breaking without extraordinary grit, then they will not last in the hostile environment.
That's true. something you said that comes to mind too is you know, that time, that payout, right? Like you want to go to practice and you want to feel like you're kind of getting something out of it. This is hard, especially if you're kind of climbing an uphill battle. Um, you know, but at the same time, you know, you're right. It's like it is pressure because you're outnumbered, or in a lot of cases you're the only one. You're the only girl, you know, or it's just tons of dudes. So it makes me think, you know, I don't want to be one of those cases where here we are, a bunch of dudes talking about what B girls could be doing, blah blah blah. You know, like I hate that. I hate
Right.
that.
Well, they're not.
So I really like that you made those points because it's more personal, and you know it's more reflective, and we really got to reflect like what can we do to make it more encouraging and enticing for, not like, I almost don't want to say just for B girls because it's not like, hey, more girls, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like we want people to be like, I can break, no matter how they identify themselves. You know, like what can we do to change that narrative? And when I think about that, even though it's a culture and it's worldwide, I try to like think about what it would be like solving that on a smaller scale. So I think like if I had a team of 5 people, what what would be the dynamic of my team to where if we had 2 girls on our team, they felt like they were just a part of the team as the 3 dudes,
Yeah.
right? So it's like if I go to practice and there's 15 of us at practice, what type of environment can we create that if a new person wants to get into it, have never done it before, or a girl, whether they're 5, 10, 20, 30, 45 years old, when they come in, what are the skills we need to have to create an environment to where when they come in, they're like, yeah, this shit is tough, but I can learn this. Like
Mhm.
Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gritty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get beat up a little bit, but everybody's here. I'm gonna get to work. You know, like what do we have to do to make that possible?
Yeah, so one thing that comes to mind, right, that fully within our power is maybe create a family-oriented environment, because I know for especially for beginners, it's hard for them to find that anchor point, like what is fun for them to break in, because they still don't know what it is yet. But if you have a very fun environment that encourages training, like I would say here, like Clarendon Group, right? Like J, Spin, and Metro, essentially created like a family oriented practice space where you can see people joke around, poke fun at each other, crack jokes. Like sometimes you'll practice, you hear someone just laugh on the side because somebody crack a joke or something like that. Like I feel like until you find that anchor point within breaking, is very it's much easier to have an external factor be that anchor point. And in this case, it would be people who you practice with. So people like us who go to public practices, is well within our power to harbor that environment, to cultivate that environment, encourage newcomers, B girls and B boys alike. Like they maybe do like a 6-step. They remember how to do all 6 steps, even though it's off beat. You gotta be like, yo, you did it right. That's awesome. Looks great. Like encourage them to keep going. Or maybe they are learning how to do a windmill or swipe for the first time, like small steps, right? But you gotta encourage, like give like some positive reinforcement so they know they're on the right track. But at the same time, you also don't want to give them a lot of pressure, because it's not like, you're training to be like the next Red Bull BC1 All-Star. Like not
Right.
all of them are aspired to be like that, right?
Mhm.
So I think for me, within our responsibility and power is to cultivate a fun environment to train in.
Okay.
I love that. I love that.
I think, yeah, I think creating the space is important. right? But also like the interaction
Mm.
has to be genuine to breaking,
Yeah,
right?
that's
From
right.
whoever
Mm.
that person is trying to learn from, or the people that they are trying to learn from. Like, the intention of it for all of us, that we treat all other men when we meet other men that
Mm.
break, is the same. But is there a difference when you meet a girl that wants to break?
Mm.
And if there is, like, why is there? Because there shouldn't be.
Right.
this
Right.
this woman that comes into the studio or comes into your breaking class just wants to break, just like the guy who walked in 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
Right.
So there should be no difference, except for understanding the matter of how they're going to learn. Right. Again, I think I've spoken about this before, but the way, as a teacher, the way that we have to adapt, right, with
Right.
break, to create that feeling that you're talking about, Joe. Like, we don't want to lie to them and say, like, it looks great if it's terrible. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, but we want to build them, of course. But we also, as a teacher, have to be the adaptable ones, to
Mhm.
know that this 27-year-old B girl that just started is going to have a completely different body style and is going to learn completely different than this 25-year-old B boy that just walked through the door.
Yeah.
They're
Mm-hmm.
just going to learn different because they're built different, right?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of B girls, um, one of the reasons maybe they don't stick around as long is because we don't know how to teach them properly.
Yeah. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
like, and so it's something we don't think about
Again.
as men. Like, we don't think like, okay, we can't just, I mean, we can't say just do it, but like the way that they do it, the way that their body works, the way that the weight is distributed differently, like everything is different.
Yeah.
Everything is different, and we have to take a lot of those things into account, like, because some of those things are going to help us teach them.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't, here's a kind of a cliche, right? Is how many B girls learn an invert in their first year,
Oh,
Right.
so many.
right?
So many.
Why is it that B girls learn an invert in their first year and B boys don't? You know what I'm saying? Because their
Yeah.
bodies are built so
Your bodies
different.
feel different.
So
Yep.
what's easy to them versus what's easy to us is going to be so different. So
Yeah.
we, as instructors or teachers or mentors or people that are trying to help, um, like, just pass down more knowledge and develop more dancers, right? If we can think about these things and see these things as what they are, and be able to adapt our approach and push them in their strengths,
Mm-hmm.
use that as a different type of foundation, that's when I see the growth happens, right?
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
often we're stubborn in our own ways, and we're like, no, you got to learn windmills like this.
Yeah.
Now you got to learn flares. Now you got to learn this. But those might not be the first. Not everybody's got to learn like that. I
Yeah.
didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say that they got to learn like that?
Yep. Yep.
But I think that is part of it. It's, again, on us when B girls enter our space, when they
Mhm.
are in our jam, and when we're going to offer our advice, especially when it's unsolicited.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if
Oh,
we're
I can
calling
show you
out for
something.
unsolicited advice, it better be legit advice.
Dude,
You know
Yeah.
yeah.
what I mean? So, but if they ask for it, of course. But those are the things that I think, like, we need to change as men mentally, when it comes to helping create longevity in the space,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Because, again, like you said, Ndure, you said, once you find something that you love, you attach yourself to that concept, that idea, that whatever it is, and you go through all of those motions and you dive through it too. Women do the same thing, especially, like, and if we can help them find what's going to work for their body, because it's not going to be the same for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but often it's not. Sometimes you just have the right two people that can really figure it out together, and that's when it really really works. I will take a quick
Yep.
brag about, like, my student Lightning,
Yeah.
because, like, I've had her since she was like 9 now, and she's 15 now. So, like, her body has developed with breaking. And now we've had to be able to work through some things, and she's had to be able to have these open discussions with me about some
Yeah.
things. Um, that are changing in her body, and why either something is either feels better, feels worse, what we have to do to change it. There are all of those types of conversations. But because like I've been working with her for so long, we've been able to adapt through a lot of those things. And I know, like, I see the growth when I'm on that same page as her,
Yeah.
of like
Mm-hmm.
understanding the mechanics of how her body works.
Yep. Yep. That's good. That's
Mm.
honestly, that comes down to just like solid good coaching, is being able to recognize how someone's body moves, recognizes the moves that go well with that body style, those strengths, recognizing the weaknesses to work on person to person, and treating not each person like a boy or a girl, but um like their own individual library for moves to download,
Mhm.
and what books fit best in that person's library collection. You know,
Well, and you know a lot of that too, Wayne, right? Because you're a personal trainer.
yeah,
You got to work one on one with men, women,
Yeah.
yep.
yeah, like older folk, younger folk, like different goals, and they all got to all be different, right?
hmm In my experience, um, where men excel in strength, women excel in technique,
Mm.
and vice versa. And where women are excited to learn, men are typically insecure, and
That,
Yeah.
vice versa.
I can see
that,
that.
yep.
And what happens is there's not many men who have the strength to go into a women's dominated dance and a women's dominated environment and stick around and learn to dance and come back time after time after time after time again, and respect their culture and climb through the ranks and make friends and be genuine and not be a weirdo.
Hmm.
Yep.
Those types of environments make men not feel secure. Whereas women have to endure that in majority of places that they go to. So when they come to practice, because it's dance, I feel like a lot of them come in being like, this is one of the easier things of the male dominated spaces to kind of enjoy, because it's dance and it's music, and music is more even, dance is more even in terms of skill, the skill curve, than like something that's just like obviously very very physical, like American
Mm.
football or something like that.
Hmm.
So in my approach when it comes to helping anyone that I teach, I try to think, what is the thing that this person needs to learn, regardless of where they're coming from in skill level or ability. And the first thing that comes to mind is teach this person the groove.
Mm.
Teach them the groove. Teach them the music. And when I can connect with someone and teach them the music and teach them the bounce and teach them the groove, I can start to teach them any step on top of it, and then like layer that knowledge on top of itself, because I've taught them the foundation, like the true basic of it, which is the bounce and the groove, right? And when I can successfully teach that, I feel like there I'm able to create a better retention with people interested in breaking and staying around, and they feel less compared about if they're the only male or female in the room, but they feel more like, yo, do I got the groove? Am I the one that's got the groove? Yeah, I got it. Okay, I feel like I belong here. I
Hmm.
don't got the windmill, I don't got the step, but we're all here rocking. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna get there, but I got what I know I need to in order to stay in this space.
Hmm.
Um, that's my approach when it comes to teaching and like a hard skill. But in terms of like, creating that safe space and like creating that comfort, it really comes down to learning skills outside of the dance, like empathy, like tact, like understanding how to read a room, understanding how to read a person's like feelings and body language. Understanding that, okay, I may have started teaching this person without them asking me, are they into this? Are they into what I'm learning, or am I bothering them? Maybe I should take a moment and pause and stop.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you have the interpersonal skills to recognize those types of signs and body language, so someone doesn't have to outwardly say, hey, thanks a lot for your advice, but I didn't come here to learn from you right now. I'm
Mm.
really just trying to soak this all in. Like, we have men, especially, I think across the board, but especially in the dance and the breaking scenes and spaces, we have to be better at reading the room and providing that type of like communicative space.
No, I agree.
Real, very real, very real.
Um, but there's a lot of people who are doing it right. There's a lot of scenes that are doing it right.
Of
There's
course.
a lot of scenes that have a ton of B girls that are killing it. There's a lot of studios that have a ton of B girls who are killing it. And there's a lot of teachers that I feel like have secret B girls that they are like not unleashing onto the world like they're like Dr. Jekyll or something, like cooking them in the lab and being like, ha ha ha. No.
I mean, if they have secret students, but I think ultimately it's up to the students to see whether or not he or she wants to participate, right? Rather than the teacher push them to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's tons of B-girl organizers. There's a lot of women creating spaces.
Yes. Yes.
Especially in the Midwest, there's a lot of women creating opportunities, especially in the Midwest. So I think not just talking about reflecting on how we can be better physically at practice, but I think we need to do a better job of giving out flowers the moment they're deserved, like, and recognizing the women that are helping move the scene.
Mm-hmm. And supporting their events and showing up to their events,
Mm-hmm.
their own events. Like, if you've never been to B Girl City, I'll just shout out B Girl City real quick. Like, yo, go down to Houston, Texas, and go to B Girl City. The event is top notch. The dance is fantastic. The music, like you're talking about, Wayne, is absolutely killer. And the B girls there that are competing all the time are freaking good, man.
Mm-hmm.
The house dances that happens too, like there's all style battles, there's house battles, there's breaking. It's a little bit of everything. So B girls
Mm-hmm.
every year, y'all. It's one of the biggest like all B girl style events in the country, and it's been around for I think over 20 years. So like,
Yep.
go support B Girl City if you haven't been there.
Yep. Evelyn's doing something in Indiana, right?
Yep. She, Evelyn, our homegirl. I mean, shout out to all the B girls in the Midwest.
For real.
Evelyn, welcome back to the Midwest. There's so many to name, but just a quick that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, obviously, like I said, Lightning, India from Phase 2.
India's from Phase 2 is killing it.
Shout out to
Lala.
India because she repping in BC1 this weekend. Yo, hopefully she's doing really good. She's in national finals. There's like Skylar and Shawnee, Shorty Rock from Vertical Ambition. Pepsi, of course. Pepsi's like held it down for the Midwest for the B girls here for years and years.
Yep. 100%.
Mary, Mama from Harcourt Detroit, and Sarah, BAD.
Big girl Loki from
Loki's back representing.
Yeah, Loki's back. So I'm loving that. Loving that from Boogie Nights crew.
And the newer one, Skylar getting down. Skylar's doing her whole thing, bringing all the girls around and more community style events and stuff like that too. So respect to her and all the B girls in the Midwest. It's slowly growing. But it
in Ohio.
It definitely is growing. Oh yeah, Jenny and of course our homegirl, our crewmate Doug.
Is Ohio Midwest or East Coast?
Midwest.
It's Midwest.
I call them.
Yeah.
Someone told me
That
Ohio
was just a
people say
debate.
that they're East Coast.
The fuck?
The word is called coast. There's no coast in Ohio.
English.
What coast of the East are you referring?
Bro, are there any Ohio people watching this that can help clarify that confusion? Like, what's going on with that, right? Because I'm claiming y'all is Midwest.
Yeah, they are Midwest, bro. They're definitely Midwest.
I'm claiming y'all is Midwest. There's a lot of people that don't want to claim Ohio.
I'm about
First
to
of all,
Google this. Is
First of all,
Ohio Midwest?
I'm claiming Ohio is Midwest. So if someone handle that in the comments. No, but not to digress. Flyers repping in Ohio. So there's a lot of Midwest B-girl activity happening, and I feel like a resurgence is boiling.
Look, man, women are back on top in hip hop in the past years, Don.
It's real. It's very real.
It's happening.
I'm telling you, it's happening. How do we fan the fuel for these flames?
I mean, we just got to keep encouraging it in the space that it's happening in, and we need to support those that are already in the scene, right? And we need to just check ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, Wayne, it's on us to check ourselves to create the space that's going to create longevity for B girls in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to continue to see it through. Support them like we support anybody else. Support them like you would support anybody else who's got a scene that's much younger than yours.
Right.
That's kind of the way. If there is any separation, it's just in the fact that like a B girl scene to exist as a B girl scene, that was not like a term used 20 years ago.
Right.
So like to have a B girl scene is still new and it's extremely important. So now is the time that we really need to support it and help it in its like first couple decades of existence.
Mm.
This is great. I'm thinking of things like, is it more important to have a B girl scene than it is to have a unified scene with 50-50 B girls and B boys that don't see separation?
Yeah, that just creates a scene, right?
Right.
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying an action. I mean, I guess I am saying a physical scene.
No, but you got my brain like
Yeah.
going. And I know Joe is big on that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say big, but I'm just saying based on the observation, right? Because the best example I can think of are the B girls from Japan. Like you have for the longest time, we have like those B girls are battling the same pool as B boys, even at the Red Bull BC level.
Yeah,
so Ayumi actually won against B boys in the mix.
She beat all of them,
representing Japan. So it has been done.
Right.
But if you think about what contributed to her to get to this level, she's constantly training with her crew, Body Carnival, right, which is a male dominant crew, right? But she also entered battles against B-boys constantly. So my head is thinking the way she got to where she is because through trial fire. Like she literally, like the environment forced her to be this good.
She's forged by steel.
Like literally, like that's how I see it. And not just her too, like her sister as well. Like they're both, they come here as a duo in the United States, even against regular B-boys, they'll easily make like top 4 in almost any jam.
Yeah.
So I get it, like because there's a pattern now where like more recent events have like, oh, there's a B girl battle, now there's a B boy battle, there's a segregation, which I understand. But then at the same time, I feel like we're also missing the opportunity to push the boundary further beyond by having that segregation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's the one that created these type of separation between gender and battles?
Well, that's why I don't know. I feel like that's just based on the promoters or who are trying to come up with the idea for a jam.
Well, who was the first one that you saw?
I think at a high level,
No, at any jam.
at
At
any
any
jam,
matter when.
gosh, I
The
feel like
first
all the
jam I seen. What's the first jam you ever seen do a B girl specific category battle?
Mine was Red Bull.
I think Red Bull, yeah.
So this
That's a hard.
so,
I've definitely
so,
seen one locally. I
so
can't remember what.
yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure they've existed, and I'm sure that they've happened like that. But it's never been talked about on such a major scene or like such a major high level type of competition, right? But this is what happens when an organization that's not necessarily invested in the culture comes in and makes their own rules, right? Like
Mm,
speaks to something larger, right? This speaks to like the sport and the competition versus what a scene is. A scene is not a competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're creating B girl competitions doesn't necessarily mean that they're creating a B girl scene, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
more within like the sport aspect of things,
mm,
right? Which is one avenue that breaking is headed towards. You know, you saw it in the Olympics, you see it in
yep.
BC, you see it in these higher level competitions now, you know, but I don't foresee that happening in local jams. I don't foresee at this collegiate breaking jam in Missouri that's going to have a 3-on-3 b-boy battle and a 3-on-3 b-girl battle. I don't foresee, you know, this crew in South Carolina having a 5-on-5 b-boy battle and a 5-on-5 b-girl battle. You know, I don't that separation being like that and like an organic level, but at the highest level when it's created for sport, again, when it's non-bodies of people that are not in the community or in the culture, they'll just start to create those type of things,
Mm-hmm.
kind of put those
Mm,
restrictions for their event, for whatever
Right.
optics or for whatever their motive is.
mhm.
Right.
Like we
And
don't know why Red Bull created a B girl bracket, like a B girl only bracket.
right.
It just
I
happened.
feel like
Yeah.
psychologically that audience kind of understands sports in that way, like NBA, WNBA. You know, like
Exactly.
that's how they're able to digest mentally what's happening, but at the same time, you're right, it's being fed to them from a source that's not authentically bred from the community, which is what creates a scene, not the competition.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then to Endure's point, where it's like we're missing this opportunity to go beyond. You guys kind of got me thinking, are the most successful B girls the ones that have an authentic breaking crew?
Or that's
Because
definitely
yeah,
what.
I think that's it. If you are from or have access to be a part of an authentic breaking crew, you have the access to high level events from the community access point, not the sponsored sport access point. And then you have the motivation and the scene behind you from the power of your crew to help train you and create that engaging training environment where you don't feel exiled, but at the same time, the concept of a real crew isn't really strong right now. I
That
don't
can be
think.
a
I think it's all about like hip hop one on one competition.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that is a key element why we don't have a lot of B girls, because we don't have a lot of real crews.
It's possible, but I think that's certainly something we
Period.
can divert into another episode. But then the counterpoint to that, if you look at Team China's 671,
Yeah, I'm like, who are some of the really successful B girls that don't have crews? I'm not sure. Like, I know India kind of has, um,
Phase 2.
No, the
No,
other.
not the other India.
Oh,
The other
okay. No, yeah. Minnows Crew, Hustle Kids.
Yeah, Hustle Kids and stuff like that. Yeah, that's who it was. And so like, Ayumi and Narumi, yes, they got Body Carnival.
Ami
But
also.
but there are a few other B girls that are out there that are crushing it. I'm just thinking of some of the other ones that I've seen as of late. Like I couldn't tell you who Swami's crew is. I couldn't
Oh,
tell
okay.
you who Firebird's crew is.
Mhm.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you who, there are a lot of these other B girls that are out there making a name for themselves by themselves without
Mm-hmm.
really think of what crew they're a part of, you know? So I'm not sure. But to your point, Wayne, it does speak, that is the traditional route, anyways, for a B boy or a B girl. Like,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
got a dope crew, you kind of have a little step up in the game if you got a crew that's already paid dues and it can kind of have some coattails for you to ride.
Yeah. Right. And then if you got like a dope crew, like a real crew, like they're not weirdos, like they
Yeah.
break, they're dope, like they're true to it. They want you to be good. They battle, they travel. Like if you had a real crew, like come on.
You doing all good.
Oh my God.
But
So
yo, go
I
ahead.
think I don't know. I just think like Joe said, that might be worth another discussion. But you
Yeah.
guys are like expanding my mind right now. You're making me ask different questions.
Well, then that's what we're here for. But we're
Yeah,
gonna save
that's
all
right.
that for next episode.
Okay.
Yo, I hate to do it, but we're out of time. We got
We're out of time. You're right.
Yeah. It's hilarious because when we were looking at this, we thought this was going to be our short conversation today.
No, yeah, without being like, 30-minute, no problem. But here we
Yep.
are, 50
Nope.
minutes later.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. You know how it goes. Do the three things that like us and subscribe us and join into the conversation. Please don't let us mansplain to you because we're ignorant men. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. So please, ladies, please speak up in the comments. We're just here
Please.
doing what
Please.
we trying to figure this out as our simple brains can.
We're
So
just trying.
till next time, we're
All
Stylin.
right, yeah.
See y'all later. Peace.
Peace.